Hello friends, today is Sunday, August 6, 2023. My name is Ryan Phipps. Let's get into our lesson from the scriptures for today. Our passage for today says this: We have known and believed the love that God has for us. God is love, and those that dwell in love dwell in God, and God in them. What is the difference between knowing something and believing something? I think about this a lot in my line of work. To me, the big difference is that the former, knowing, has nothing to do with faith, and the latter, belief, does. So what is knowing? Knowing something. When we know something, it just is. There's no dispute about it. We might not be able to explain exactly why we know a thing, we just do. For instance, I love my children. I know that. I don't know why I love my children more than I love your children, but I do. No offense, I'm not trying to be unkind. I'm just stating it like it is. I would imagine you feel the same way about your children compared to my children, and that is totally okay. When someone asks me if I love my kids, I don't ever answer something like, well, I'm thinking about it, I'm working on it, they just haven't convinced me yet. No, I just love my kids. I have since the moment that they came into the world. And my love for my children is impervious to their changing behaviors, circumstances, achievements, and or failures. None of these things can cause me to love them any more or any less. I just love my kids, period. I know that. Belief, though, on the other hand, is a bit different, because belief is a religious word. Believing something deals with the things in the realm of what we call faith. And the only way we come to believe a thing is by repeated experience with that thing. And as we learn to trust that it is reliable, repeatable, and even, if you will, real. I have a stool that I am sitting on here. I don't know if you can see it. Here it is. And I have sat on a lot of stools like this. And because of my past experience with stools, I have a hunch that this stool that I'm sitting on right now will continue to hold me up throughout this broadcast. This, though, is a belief. I don't know that for sure, that this will hold me up. I believe it. I believe that the stool will hold me up when I sit on it based on my prior experiences with other stools. That's the difference between knowing something and believing something. Now, in Koine Greek, the language that this passage was originally scribed in, a word-for-word translation into English from the Koine Greek says the passage like this, and I will warn you before I start, when you read something straight from the Greek, the voice of God often ends up sounding like the voice of Yoda. A word-for-word translation out of the Koine Greek into English says this: We have come to know and have come to believe the love that has God as to us. God, love is, and the one abiding in love in God abides, and God in them abides. perhaps that is how God really talks. Who knew? God talks like Yoda. We thought that George Lucas invented a little green character that talks this way, but no, he stole it from, well, God. Anyway, the reason the Greek is so important here is that it contains a key to understanding all of this knowing and believing God's love stuff. Again, the English, we have known and believed the love that God has for us. God is love, and those that dwell in love dwell in God, and God in them. And the Greek, we have come to know and come to believe the love that has God as to us. God, love is. And the one abiding in love, in God abides, and God in them abides. Do you see what a fundamental difference there is between those two passages? It's the contrast in the phrases, we have known and believed, and we have come to know and have come to believe. There's a very big thing that's being left out of most of our English translations. The first one, we have known and believed, is speaking of something that is in the past. Already obtained, already secured, a thing that is over and is done with. The second one, though, the Koine Greek, we have come to know and have come to believe, is speaking of a process. A process. It had a beginning, yes, but it doesn't necessarily have an end. It's something that we will continue to learn as long as we live. We have come to know and have come to believe the love that has God as to us. And then the second part of the passage talks about what a life can look like when we embrace this process of coming to know and believe God's love for us and others, when it says, God, love is. And the one abiding in love, in God abides, and God in them abides. In other words, we are abiding in God as we learn to open ourselves up more to God's love for us. This all comes about in the process of learning to give and to receive love. And this is a lifelong thing. You know, I have really been enjoying seeing those of you, both online and in person, who have taken advantage of the Thursday spots I've been leaving open on my calendar for you to come in and discuss whatever you want to discuss. Not only is it a joy to see you and to hear about your lives, but I also greatly admire you for taking the time out of your busy life to come in and talk about God with me. In one of those Thursday meetings this past week, someone asked me what I thought my purpose was. And I think they were implying in the question that a pastor has a greater purpose in this life than someone in another profession does. And I have never believed this to be true. The truth is, we, Church in Bethesda, could have some cataclysmic event at any time here in our area of the country. For instance, I know this is dark, but imagine a rogue meteor hitting our property and wiping everything out. I would instantly be out of a job the next day. But that is okay, because really, being a pastor is not my ultimate purpose. I could work at Home Depot or Walmart, or I could become a rat hunter for the Department of Transportation in DC, exterminating rats in the metro tunnels. I would actually really enjoy that job. In doing all those things, though, I could still learn and know everything that I do as a pastor. I really could. That's because my purpose in this life is not my profession. And if I may be so bold this morning to say it, your purpose in your life is not your profession. You know what the real purpose of human life is? The purpose of your life is to learn how to give and receive love more completely. Let me say that again. The purpose of your life, the purpose of my life, the purpose of human life is to learn how to give and receive love more completely. And guess what? You have the ability to do that, whether you are an executive or a rat catcher. There is what we do, and there is who we are. And the latter is what purpose is all about. The part of us that we never stop working on, regardless of our profession. The purpose of your life is to learn how to give and receive love more completely. And that is the big idea of what this passage is trying to teach us. It's not speaking of an event that happens and then we look back on it with fond memories. No, it's not a class that you study for, then you pass or fail. Rather, it is something that is happening in your life right now, in this very moment, here in this digital place, and all about your life in the coming week. In all of the places you go and with all of the people that you meet. Love, 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 like that old Beatles song says. To learn what it is, to receive it for ourselves, and to allow it to pass through us as we give it away to others. And if you surrender to this as your life's purpose, you will always be at the right place at the right time, learning all the right things and giving attention to what matters most, regardless of the outward circumstances or what you do for a living or what your status symbol is. The purpose of this life is to learn how to give and receive love more completely. What would it do to your life if you went out into it this week and lived from that inner vantage point? Would you see some things you don't normally see? Would the things that bother you all of a sudden become irrelevant? What would it do to our world if we started looking for different ways to love one another and to be loved? I think it could change some things. As we spend a few moments in silence and stillness now, getting quiet, getting still, I want to ask you to just think about all of this for a few minutes. More specifically, what does all of this mean for you, uniquely you, in the life that you occupy? We also invite you to receive the Eucharist with us at this time, communion, if you don't happen to have unleavened bread and wine available wherever you're watching this from. Whatever you have available is sufficient. But let's take a few moments now to reflect on what this means for each of us as individuals and what it means for us as a world if we choose to practice it. Amen.